Hey guys, I'm back. You know me from the 608 Chatterbox. I usually host that by myself and have a lot of guests. Today I'm starting a new series called Canceled Controversy with Dylan, aka DMW, and Enrique, aka Young Phyno. We are gonna get deep into some topics, very controversial topics. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna have Dylan start it, and we'll just go from there.
So before we even start questions, it'll be the three of us hosting, and we could get an occasional guest on this. You guys got to give us feedback in the comments. Check out our description because we usually leave things in there for you guys to check us out, as well as information on what we're doing next as far as podcasting. So with that being said, let us know what you guys think, and also the name Cancel Controversy. It's simply we're going to talk about controversial topics. If you don't like the content that we're talking about, I think I'll go over our video footage and we'll put timestamps in if there's something maybe you don't want to hear about, or we'll put timestamps in to keep you guys interested. But at the same time, you got to understand this is going to be our opinions. We're going to do our best to hold nothing back while still being appropriate to our audience, but it's going to be our opinions on matters that you guys might disagree with, and we're open to having these conversations in the comments as well. It doesn't have to be an attack. We can agree to disagree and both bring up good points, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's super important.
I mean, it says it all in the name. It's controversial topics. So.
And I think it's cool. We're different. Like Hugo and Enrique come from a Mexican background. I come from a Caucasian background. So, there's going to be things we agree and disagree on, and I'm not saying that culture is the only thing that's going to do, life experience does that, and just point of views are going to do that as well, but we're going to touch on certain things that you guys might agree or disagree with, but it's best to be respectful on both ends because we're going to respect you guys and your opinion as well, as long as it's not completely outlandish.
Exactly, and some of these topics are kind of like, I guess, I want to say trendy, but they're like getting a lot of heat right now in the country. So,
or at least have been.
Yeah. So we know what we should expect as far as feedback or just
And everyone is different. Yeah.
Clap back from anybody.
Yep.
So we know what we expect from this. So we're ready to talk about it. So yeah, like I said, Dylan, do you want to have the honors of introducing our first controversial topic?
We have a little list here, but I'll start with, I guess, a relatively more basic one, but you brought it up specifically to me in podcast about vaping. So how do you guys feel about like a vaping or smoking ban in the country?
I think I'll use the example of, I think it was like in the 1920s where there was the ban on alcohol.
The prohibition.
The prohibition. Yeah. I don't know. I think there was always, I guess, there's an age. So there's an age that you can buy them at, which is 21 now.
As of a couple of years,
yeah. President Trump did, or former President Trump did sign that like law to move it from 18 to 21.
Yep.
But that was because of the Juul situation.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
A lot of vaping situations
because of the Juul situations and all that lawsuit.
Itself. Yep.
So that was moved up, but I don't know. I just find it. There's always loopholes for everything, and if you know somebody that can get it for you, that's the easiest loophole. So I think really focusing on these loopholes is what should matter, not necessarily a full ban.
I think I'm gonna start controversial with my answer, and it's that the government does in the best interest of them. So these are items that they can tax and make money off of as well. And it comes down to supply and demand. And it's easy for me to say, being a I would go as far to say nicotine addict as far as vaping. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I vape. And I think it comes down to the supply and the demand, and that it seems like our generation may have moved away from smoking cigarettes because, younger generations, it was promoted in commercials. Oh, these cool kids smoke nicotine, they smoke tobacco, they smoke these cigarettes and they're cool and they get all the bitches. Like, it was some corny ass commercials.
No, and then back in the day, that's all there was to smoke. Now it, like, you see these like little like vape cartridges,
and you see examples of that in marijuana too,
and stuff like that. The technology has really risen over the years.
You see examples of that in marijuana when it comes down to like carts, dabs. There's so many ways to smoke. You got a nectar collector now. You just fucking smoke the shit. It looks like you're smoking crack with the device, but but I guess my point is like, I don't believe it's possible to ban it because of the outcry that would come from it. And it's going to make those people, probably including myself, look like fiends, but I don't think you could ban it. Like, I think it'd be too tough to go about. Someone's always going to have a way. Companies are always going to do something, but, you know.
Yeah. Also, I almost see it almost as unethical to ban something like that. As in, you see, for example, someone could turn to vaping as like a coping method for something, and obviously, there are mixed opinions on whether or not that works or not.
Yeah. Let me pause you right there. What about what would you have to say about the long-term medical effects from vaping then?
Well, obviously that's a huge negative, but I mean, there's long-term effects of cigarettes as well, and people were hooked on those for decades, and no one really cared.
So what about population control? Would they want to take this away if it's causing people to die sooner?
Yeah, that's one topic we were mentioning off the podcast or the video.
Like population control.
I mean, I think it does have something to do with it, but I don't know. I just think that the technology has gotten so advanced that it's so easy to buy these little vape sticks.
Yeah.
And you can get them anywhere.
I was going in prior to the legal age.
Yeah, exactly. I was literally just gonna say that you can go into a gas station where that somebody knows you.
Yep.
In that gas station, and
the ghetto ones hit the ghetto corner gas stations.
You can easily buy either alcohol or nicotine. Whatever it is.
Yeah, and I guess it again comes to the outcry because like you look at illegal drugs, cocaine, heroin, meth, like crack, cocaine. The people who are addicted to that stuff are gonna get it anyways. So it's like, do you want to just put more people behind bars when prisons are already hitting max capacities? Like it's like what I get from, like you brought up medical, like like I've lost people to lung cancer and like smoking and shit, so I feel you on that 100%, but you also got to think of all the other ways to even do cigarettes now. You got non-disposable vapes, you put the juice in, you got dip, you got nicotine, what are they called? The little like Zyn patches you put on your gums and it gives you the buzz right through your gums. Like there's so many things. There's cigarettes, there's cigars. You're not gonna ban cigars. People do that to relax. I'm not saying it's healthy. And going off like what young Phyno said about coping, vaping is proved to increase stress and anxiety. Exactly. But here's the thing. When you hit it, the anxiety of not hitting it goes away. When you're without it, you're too anxious wanting to hit it, which is where the addiction comes in. And it's such a terrible process to go back and forth from because it only cures the anxiety of not having it. It doesn't cure your general or social or, your full anxiety that you suffer through in life.
And once you clear that anxiety of not hitting it and you actually feel calm about you actually have hit it, it's almost like a placebo effect where you kind of convince yourself you're fine.
Yeah, and I'll tell you as a user, it makes you feel like shit. When, like I'm not going to say I've had, like, cold sweats and, like, itches or whatever to hit it, but, like, there's been times I've been like, okay, where the fuck is my vape? On the way home from Six Flags the other night, my vape died. You saw me going 10 over after that. I was getting home and charging that bitch.
Then what do you guys think about potentially, like, almost like an ID card to buy tobacco? So you can only buy...
Like a medical card?
Yeah, but hold on. Like, that restricts you on how much tobacco you can buy.
I just feel like then they make less. Yeah. And it's like, why make less money when that money's taxed? It again comes down to like government practices.
In that way, both sides are happy.
Yeah. So why put a limit on it,
To restrict the use.
But do higher ups want the use restricted? That's less money in their pocket.
Also, I don't think that restricts use. I think it would restrict more quantity.
It would restrict quantity per purchase. Yeah. It would actually bring people in more because they have to take more trips.
Yeah.
But it restricts on how many times. So like you. Let me ask you this: How fast do you go through a vape stick?
I would say a 7,000 hitter, roughly a week. I can get a week out of.
A week.
Yeah.
Like a full 7 days.
Yeah, which actually saying that out loud means 1,000 hits a day, but they're never true on how many hits they have.
Okay, then what if that tobacco card, whatever, only let you come in every other week.
Then there'd be an outcry for more vape, and I'd go to a different place. And if that don't sell, I'll keep doing it until someone doesn't ask for it. We just talked about these places don't ID. How many places are actually going to ask me for my tobacco card?
Then that's the issue.
So I just don't believe that a ban is probable, or I guess in some ways even ethical, because it's our right to damage our bodies if we choose to. I mean,
Yeah, it's almost like
it sucks, but
it's almost like how, you know, like for like it's a pretty bad example, but for example, like some people are addicted to, like, I don't know, like chewing gum or something. You don't, you know, even though it's completely fine and perfectly,
caffeine.
yeah, some people could be addicted to it or whatever. It'd be unethical to be like, okay, you can only chew a certain amount of gum a week, or
You
just
can't go to
ban
the
it
gym
entirely.
because you get this runner's high too much.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's the issue in our country, is that there's a lot of things that you can get addicted to, and I heard this a lot in middle school, that why are people paying attention to like cocaine, marijuana, and other drugs, as you know,
because
they're-
by
they're-
law it's
Hold on.
illegal.
Hold on. If sugar is probably one of the most addicting, quote unquote, drug that you can get even as a kid.
Yeah.
And I saw this documentary on Ronald Reagan that was combating, because there was a pandemic, bro. Or I think they called it an epidemic in the U.S. at that time, when Reagan was in office, that obesity was an issue.
Still is today.
And
100%.
still it is.
It's a huge issue.
And he was trying to combat it by, like, I think he was like how they market different things, and it did not work at all.
So I'm a little unfamiliar, but do you want to maybe fill me in on how that worked?
On how, like, what he did, or
Because I mean, it's still a problem today.
it's still a problem today, and I know that Michelle Obama I think it was in 2014, did like this like meal thing, so all the kids in schools could get like free meals, but they were all healthy meals. So, like, I guess like food was like reducing fat, like salt and everything. So I guess like I heard a lot of parents say, "Oh, it's synthetic food, whatever."
That must be why I hated school food so much.
Exactly. and me and Dylan were witnesses to this too, that after our freshman year, all the vending machines went away.
Like even the drink ones, they had like one working
Yeah.
on the bottom floor.
Yeah. And they were all healthy drinks. I just want to point that out. They're all healthy drinks. They had no calories.
And see, I don't mind drinking a Powerade Zero or whatever here and there, you know, but it ain't my first choice off the shelf.
They told us ultimately that supposedly it was because people were skipping class to go to the vending machines, but it was bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
It was definitely bigger than that.
That school lied about everything. That's a whole nother episode.
Exactly. But I don't know. I think sugar is definitely one quote unquote like the most threatening drug in the U.S.
I think alcohol is.
I mean, but sugar you can get addicted to as a kid, and it can fuck your whole life up.
It ain't gonna give you kidney damage on the spot though.
Yeah, but it's gonna give you diabetes, and then you're fucked for the rest of your life.
That is potentially true, yes. But actually, I do want to kind of take this chance to branch off, just because I run the fear that we're getting a bit off the vape topic. But we talked about very briefly, kind of like we've done it in previous podcasts too on the 608 Chatterbox, linked in the description. But let's talk about the education system next. Now that we kind of brought up schools, let's just branch right off there and talk about. Obviously, this is going to be more of a personal experience answer. It's awesome that some of you guys had a better education system, but in Beloit, Wisconsin, with the test scores we have, look them up, it's not great. But we'll go ahead and talk about our personal experiences, and I want to let young Phyno start this one because he was a class below us, so it's going to be interesting to see how COVID affected him his junior year, and maybe how the school system went about that versus just his everyday life in sophomore and freshman year, because me and Hugo are a year ahead of him, so
Yeah, and me and DMW graduated when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that next year was
we went
young,
to school for the first semester,
Yeah.
and then went online.
and then young Phyno was in his senior year when COVID kind of went through.
That big distraction kind of ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to pick up on what you said, my experience wise during, you want to talk about the
Do
specific
the
COVID
before
year?
and prior, and maybe even after, because you went
Yeah.
back to school senior year.
Well, I didn't. I graduated early.
But you did your first semester, right?
Yeah, it was all online though.
Yeah, I did everything online.
Oh, so you don't really have an after.
No, I don't really.
So
have an
talk
after.
about before and after. We'll give you.
So before the whole COVID thing, school was fun. Like especially high school. I think when Hugo, obviously being a year ahead of me, was like, "Oh, you gotta watch out for this. You gotta learn where the whole all the classes are. You can't be lost."
You got everything up front.
Yeah. So I kind of had everything like almost handed to me. I almost knew who to go to, where the classes are, who's the best teacher, who's who's not necessarily the nicest teacher, but besides, I mean, like when you come to like the actual education itself, I mean, there were teachers that were actually pretty good at teaching. You know, I don't really want to say any names because I don't want to out anybody.
Well,
really.
shout out the good ones.
I would say earlier on in my early years, I think I can't really remember who was specifically, because I mean, obviously it was like 5-6 years ago. I don't really remember that well.
I get it.
But I had a few good teachers early on that actually cared about my education, and I remember Miss Kelly in geometry class.
Yep.
She, I was grouped up in like a group of people who didn't really like give a shit about like the work or anything, and they would just kind of chat around and do their thing. And I saw my grade was starting to fall from like the higher A's to like the lower B's and then to C's, and she kind of noticed it, and she purposely moved me away from them in the corner because she saw that I was actually a pretty good math student.
So
next thing you know, I'm starting to get B's, A's, and my grade starts improving. So she kind of almost looked after my grade because she knew that I was actually good at doing stuff like that.
So this is no shot at her, and don't mention any names of the people in your group or whatever.
Yeah.
But does it come down to them not caring or them not having the same resources? Because like people have their home lives. Like who the hell knows what goes on at home?
Yeah.
I mean, from you knowing them again without names for personal reasons, but like. Do you think that could have played a factor, or it's just truly them people who do not give a shit? Because I know there's a difference.
Yeah, I think a few of them were ones that just really didn't care. Because most of the conversations would be about like goofy shit that happened after school, or like
you gotta have your priorities straight. Yeah, that's different.
So that and I was obviously involved in that because I was younger. I was more. When you're a freshman, you're almost reckless. You don't really.
Yeah, we're gonna have our dumbass moments.
Yeah, you're gonna be. You're almost like it's almost like you're a newborn. You don't know what the fuck to do.
It's a trial run.
Yeah.
In a big school like ours.
So that's why I'm thankful that she kind of sat me away from them like on purpose. And at first I was like, well, what the fuck? She had the right to just move me, But as I
see the bigger picture.
Yeah, as I started to sit down and actually do my work instead of talking about just irrelevant stuff, I started to see my grade improve, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm actually pretty good at the school stuff. Maybe I should actually sit down and take it serious. That led into sophomore year where I started to take school a bit more serious and actually work and focus on my grades rather than having a fun time with other people. And that's when I think sophomore year was more a learning experience. It was like because I had gotten almost, quote unquote humbled in freshman year.
Because it's all a balancing. Yeah, it's all balancing.
It's a huge balancing act, and that's where a lot of, in my opinion, that's where a lot of mental health issues come into play. Yeah. Where you have to, some people had to balance their personal lives, their homework, their schoolwork, and an actual job.
Yeah,
or a sport.
Yeah, or a sport.
Sports.
So that, in my opinion, that's where a lot of pressure and anxiety could come into play. So and for me, I felt a little, but not like an extreme amount. And then that's when junior year came in, and the first half of junior year, I think it was the first semester, was perfectly fine. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Second semester came through, and that's when the COVID started hitting. And obviously, I was a little worried about how is school gonna work, how's stuff gonna happen. But I mean, me being me, because I hated school. I was never really I was good at it, but I never really liked being there because I was almost like a quote unquote loner. I didn't really have many friends, so I didn't like being there. But I enjoyed doing the work. But what's it called? It almost felt like a good thing. No school, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But then obviously it came back and we had to do stuff online, and then I just kind of was like, okay, let's just get through the year. So because maybe next year they'll probably do something. We'll probably go back, or hopefully something will happen. Next thing you know, senior year comes around, and we're doing the same shit. You're still doing Zoom calls. You're still doing online stuff. You got to take pictures of your homework. You got to email this, email that, And I almost saw it as like, really, you're not going to make any changes? You're not going to try and improve our setting. You know, other schools are opening back up and or doing this other stuff to combat that, but you're just kind of sticking to the same routine.
And I want to touch on that because that also affected me and Dylan too. When COVID hit, we were always under the impression that we were gonna do the virtual graduation, and then we were gonna be given a real one later in the summer, so people could be outside and socially distanced. And unfortunately, it wasn't given to us. They said that the numbers in Beloit were too high. But at the same time, local high schools were actually giving the in-person graduations with the proper measures, and what had to be done to have the in-person graduation and that experience. And that's one thing that, I mean, personally, I won't forgive the school district of Beloit for, that it wasn't really properly thought to, that we're taking this experience away from them. And regardless of if there was a pandemic or not, there should have been thought, like our feelings should have like been considered.
They should have been a factor in the decision.
Yeah, it should have been a factor in the decision. And I know that all of the time on social media I hear about it, that we were robbed out of graduation.
Yeah. Because I feel bogus talking about it to you guys, because you guys obviously were robbed of that experience, and I had the pleasure and honor of actually having a graduation. But would you mind actually me talking about it? Would you guys be offended?
Every opinion's different. Yeah, I want to hear
what
you have to say.
Because obviously you guys didn't have the same experience as me, but at first I remember heading into senior year, I finished like the first semester through like COVID stuff, and then I was like, okay, I think I strategically like failed the class so that I could just take it on fucking credit recovery to get it done fast. Because I'm not gonna lie, my 12th grade year,
that was the cheat code in high school.
Yeah, it's just credit recovery, because you could just get a class done in like a week, and then you have the credit for it, and you can just go about your day. But I failed the class on purpose and just took it in credit recovery and like finished it in like a week. So I graduated early, around I think March, and I was like good to go. I didn't have to worry about school until graduation came around. And then that's when they started to open up the school, like, okay, you can come to class now, but there's all these like restrictions and certain stuff. You have to do like the screener thing before you come in every day and all that stuff. And I didn't get to experience any of that because I said I graduated early. But once the graduation time kind of came around, and we had to order our gowns and get all the stuff and stuff like that, I remember talking to my friend Juan, shout out Juan. We were like, oh my god, like this is like exciting. Like I never thought that, like I hated school. Why am I excited to kind of like have like this event that's all about school? To me it was like I was excited to leave school, but I never thought I'd be like this how you say emotionally involved in something that has to do with school, because I was never, for like presentations or meetings or some stuff like that at the high school, I really didn't give a shit. It was never something that I really cared about. But then now that we're graduating, I was like, oh my god, this is exciting. I actually care about, like, not to be mean, but like because I was only focused on myself and what I had to do for me throughout high school. I was like, oh my god, I actually, like, I'm gonna miss these people. I'm gonna miss the little times I spent in this classroom with this person or doing this project with these people, And obviously once they had the graduation practice, they had us come into I think it was the field house, and we did like the seating. They had everyone practice where they were gonna sit, and they walked us out there to the actual field. They had us sit down in order, and I remember that's when it kicked in. I was like, holy shit, I'm graduating. Like I actually fucking did it. Let's go. And then the night of the graduation, or I say the next morning because it was pretty early.
Yeah.
That experience of walking out of the field house, and seeing and hearing like all like the families of everyone that was graduating, it was almost surreal. Like I felt like it was something like straight out of a movie. It was a magical experience. And sitting down, I was like, oh my god, where's Hugo? Where's my mom? It was cool. It felt amazing. I was like, I feel like I finally achieved something with my life.
Bro, you're pissing me off.
You can see the uncomfortable vibes in this room.
Yeah, but I did ask ahead of time.
No, I don't blame you, because I've always been kind of like shy around big amount of people, but
Yeah.
I think of it two ways. Is I didn't get my graduation for high school. I made some poor decisions. Legal trouble. Had to drop out of college. I've never walked a stage. Yeah. And it sucks. And as much as, you know, we're getting a bit off topic, so I do want to kind of dive back in. As far as education system, I feel like we were held at a disadvantage because I felt like the troubled kids who didn't care got more attention. And I get it. I get it because they're at this disadvantage. But it almost felt like with particular teachers, and not all, like, I also had some really good teachers. Like, I even had good professors in college. Like, my college experience was so much better than high school from an academic perspective.
I just want to point out, also in high school, I think it was every year, if I'm not wrong. No, it was because we had 3 different principals.
Oh yeah, left and right.
3 different
left
principals.
and right.
So many different
Our leadership
situations
in that school was like
It failed us from the beginning.
And I mean, me personally, when we had, can I name his name?
It's your podcast.
Well, when we had the male principal come in, come in, it was such like a shift. I was like, this guy does not care about what's going on.
It felt like the quickest year of my life because his whole leadership was just a blur. He didn't do shit.
To me, it was kind of like how can you change the principle of these kids like so often in so little amount of time? It's like trying to win the Super Bowl but hiring a new coach every week.
And to pick the particular person they picked.
Yeah, it's like they didn't even like.
He wasn't background checked.
Yeah, no,
like, let's be real. He was not background checked.
They didn't really care who was in charge.
Let's be controversial. Like he wasn't fucking background checked. Dude was literally like, what the hell was the circuit? Wasn't it like?
So the reason why he was fired was he had put in like these like biased ass like complaints into HR about 2 of the women.
He had allegations on women staff members.
Yeah, and then, what else did he do?
Wasn't it like money laundering? I could be wrong, but wasn't it? It was some
he
money
did that
laundering.
After.
Oh, after?
He did that after when he left because he voluntarily quit.
He's not even in the country no more.
Exactly. He
Dude
voluntarily
fled the U.S.
He voluntarily quit before there was like that like
the legal investigation.
Yeah, and gone. Took his fat bag of, you know, how much or whatever money he
God
took,
knows what.
Yeah, and left us. I think it was like a month with an interim principal, and then they hired the special ed coordinator as our principal.
I think our biggest issue is no leadership and no guidance. Focus on the ones failing and don't achieve the ones doing well. And I'm not saying yes, help the ones who are failing, because like I said when I brought it up to young Phyno, I said, you don't know what's going on with his group. I was like, you don't know what's going on at home. Like, you never know that type of thing. But when you know the effort's not there, I don't want to say it like this because we're kids at the time, but you can't fucking help everyone. You have to do shit for yourself too, because if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere in life.
Yeah,
to me,
I learned that experience the hard way.
Yes,
me too.
If you don't do shit, you're going nowhere. If you give up, everyone has their circumstances. Everyone's greater than the next. You can't compare, because like I could say, oh, my recent troubles at home are like worse than this person's. No, the fuck I can't. You don't know how people judge the things that happen to everyone. Views everything different. So something small to somebody, or even myself, might be a bigger, like when I talk about my issues, I normally keep it bland because I'm going to get through it regardless. Like, I'm going to struggle, but I'm going to fucking get through it, and I have that faith in myself and everything in this universe that I'm going to get through what I'm going through. So when people feel bad for me, it's like, it doesn't piss me off, but it kind of irks me. I'm like, don't do this. Like, it almost feels like, I feel like when you feel bad for me, you're doubting me. And that's just my perspective on it, but like, you gotta know I'm gonna overcome it for me to feel the same way.
Let me ask you this: what do you mean by kids that are doing well? Because I think there's actually 3 different stages in what was that high school, or what might still be.
Well, you know what our biggest high school problem was in doing well? Popularity and bitches. It was a whole toxic gender thing.
That's
like, it was masculinity over everything. Oh, you got all these bodies. You fuck this girl. You fuck that girl.
Yeah, how many
this
nudes
girl's
do you
got
have?
yeah. how many nudes you got? This girl's got this. This girl's got that. Why do you know this? And if you do know this, why are you fucking with them? Like, everything was all rumors, drama, and pillow talking.
No, and then since we're on the topic of education system, I want to share something, a personal experience, you know, and I'm pretty sure you know about this, Dylan. In high school, there, I think it was our sophomore year.
Yeah.
That it kind of like sparked that the news were going around.
Yeah, that shit's sick to me.
And one of my old friends, like, said, because we were talking about this girl that I liked, and he was like, "Oh, so when do you want me to get the nudes of her?" I was like, "What?" And I'm telling you guys right now, it became a whole thing because I got in the way. I got in his way, and my whole junior year, it was spent him bullying me. But I thank God for it every single day, because if I had not done that, he would have done something absolutely disastrous. And what did the assistant principals or the leadership, quote unquote, do in that school? Nothing.
No.
I damn near got expelled from that school because I wouldn't shut my mouth. But what did they want me to do?
Be quiet about it.
Exactly.
Hide it away like they do everything else.
And I think it was this one time that we tried to go, like, to the higher ups, like to the superintendent, and they were like, "Oh, you know, can't talk to him right now."
Yeah, what can we do? It's just a 16-year-old girl's private parts. Like, what?
Yeah, it was insanely stupid,
Yeah.
and I just hate it how, like, because I tried to, like, I guess, like, confide into, like, the SRO, so the school resource officer, but that school resource officer was so fucking biased towards, like, the staff there that what I had to say did not fucking matter at all.
Yeah, and, like, our education system, it's like we're using fucking history books from the 50s.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, regardless of high school, from 6th to 8th grade, you know how many times I learned about slavery? Like, and I get it's a major aspect, and, you know, you learn little bits and pieces every year. Why is the shit not sectioned off? Why don't I know more? You know, I find out more things on fucking TikTok than I did through school. And I can't fact check everything I see. But when it's supported by evidence, what else am I supposed to go off of? The school couldn't even do that.
Yeah,
go to page 64 and read this section.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I gave up on school in terms of like taking anything seriously into my life, like early on, because I was like, dude, you know, I mean, obviously it could be different nowadays. I don't know, but for me, they were still teaching us that Christopher Columbus discovered America.
Yeah. And that shit's wrong.
Oh my God.
That shit is wrong.
It's absolutely
That's
atrociously
so
wrong.
He stole the land from people who had previously found it.
That had already been here.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
that's
Native
why,
American
And he's a
discovered
fucking
land.
rapist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
And you find all this. They don't teach you that in school.
No.
Why can't we open up a broader topic in school if this is where you learn what you need to know in life? Why are we getting told false shit?
Why can't
is
I
Christopher
learn-
Columbus a day? Sure, I appreciate the day off, but it's wrong.
Yeah, why can't I learn how to do my taxes? But you're teaching me about this dude who didn't actually discover America. He just stole it from somebody else.
I can't apply for my FAFSA without asking these super like right up front questions to a trusted adult, and you know, and it's not taught in school. It's not.
Yeah, and it's hypocritical how they advertise to us, if you ever have a problem, if you ever feel depressed, you ever feel bullied, you can come talk to any of our teachers, any of our staff members. But when you actually do, they don't care.
I'll get real personal. I had a counselor when I was kicked out my senior year, and I think I saw him twice. Not a bad dude. I don't even remember his name. I used to have his contact on an old phone.
Of high school?
Yep. I don't know his name. If you do, just talk after. I don't know his name. But he wasn't a bad dude or nothing. Like, it seemed like he was kind of for the kids, but like he treated it like I was fucking homeless. And I'm telling him my issues, and he can't convert it to what I need. It's like everyone, we're just this group. It's not individual. And I hate to say it like that, but if you're a counselor, if you're a therapist, you have patience. For example, your therapist is not going to treat you how she treats someone else. Someone tears their ACL and she's working with them on their legs. She's not going to do the same for someone who had like a spinal fusion surgery. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. Everyone's different. Same with teachers. I know you can't, it's hard to attend to a class of 25 to 35 people. I get that. But...
And yeah, I want to touch a little bit on that, is that there were so inconsistencies in how people did their jobs at that school. I don't know how it is or was in other schools, but bro, I had not a science teacher, a history teacher, be more like by my side about like crap that was going on than somebody that was being paid to do that.
Can I shout out a history teacher quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
My freshman year, we had it was about communism, I believe. Communism or capitalism. It's been some years. But he told us, he said, all of our grades are going to be added up and divided by the number of people, and everyone will get the total grade. And I was kind of pissed. And at the time, I had this immature mindset of, oh, these people don't, like, kind of like Enrique said, I'm like, oh, these people don't give a fuck. These people who have an F are going to drag the total rating down. So I said that. And he said the average class grade, I believe, was a C or C+. Something in the C. So I'm like, I have an A or an A- in here. I'm not dropping I'm like freaking out or whatever, right? And at the very end, he explains that that's what this is. When we talked about trench warfare, we moved all the desks, right? So the middle was empty. So we had all these desks on one side, all these desks on the other. We rolled up a bunch of paper balls and we're just throwing them. You know, no one's hurting anybody. It's fucking paper. And we're throwing them at each other. We're having fun, all this and that. The teacher, Mr. Walker. I don't know if you guys, even if you guys never had him, I know you've seen him in the hallways. When it was certain things he'd teach, he would dress up like that.
Yeah.
Great guy. Super fun. You know, he had his stern moments where he had to, like, lay down the law, but fuck, can you blame him?
Yeah.
You know, like, such a cool
What
dude.
teacher hasn't?
Yeah, and there's some teachers that's all they do. They have no fucking coddleness or, like, any sort of sympathy or empathy for what's going on. Yeah. So when you see teachers like that, that's a teacher I would go to. And I never had to. My freshman year, I was pretty reserved. But if I needed to, that would probably be, and we talked about Bartow, shout out Bartow, but like Sergeant Bartow. But those two, I would go to. And Bartow's going to give me the stern answer, and I think Mr. Walker would too. And it's like, that's cool to me because not only do they have, especially Bartow, and it's not a diss at Walker or nothing, but like the life experience, the events that have happened, you can learn a lot from people older than you. Just like older people can learn from the younger generation as shit shifts every year. You know, like we talked about it in our one-on-one that obviously we're going to redo for personal reasons, but you guys haven't seen it. But we talked about like gay marriage in 2014 being legalized. Like shit changes. Back in the 80s, you'd be dropping the slur F-bomb and you'd be saying whatever to the gay kid because it's abnormal to you. But now we're moving in this direction where you need to accept people for who they are. Why the fuck does it matter? And it's weird for me if I see two gay dudes kissing or two gay women kissing and I judge them. Who the fuck am I to judge? You know what I mean? Like, if that's their personal preference.
It's all about patience.
And it's their preference at the end of the day. Like, if that bothers you, you're weird. You know, if you see two dudes kissing, you're like, oh, that grosses me out. First off, if it grosses you out, why the fuck are you looking?
Look away.
Yeah, why the fuck are you looking? Second off, why do you make it your point to get in someone else's business?
I mean, personally, for me, I see it as I'm okay with you being like uncomfortable with it because you're always uncomfortable with something new, something you're not really used to.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can be uncomfortable, but if you're bothered by it, you're like, oh, that's disgusting, get it away from me, then I have a problem
weird.
with it.
You're weird at that point.
That's not right. You know, you got to let people do them. You know, you can't.
I mean, you even see like some older generations that are bothered by interracial relationships. Yeah. And it's like, what? Like, what is...
Because they grew up with something else.
Yeah,
but that's just them.
Shit changes. I mean, when the first phone come out, when the first computer come out, you know what I mean? Like, everything's going to change. There's going to be shit 20 years from now that's going to be completely new to us. I'm still new on, like, pronoun, like, people's, how they go. And I'll be the first one to admit, I genuinely, with people I know, one of my cousin's friends, no names, but it's a biological woman that goes by he. I will occasionally fuck it up and I'll be the first person to correct it. Because it's like, yes, it's new for me, but I'm not going to disrespect you and say, no, you have a vagina, you're a girl. if it's what you go by, it's what you go by. Who the fuck am I to say?
And it doesn't
anything.
affect you in any
Yes,
way. So,
no.
so
Why do I
yeah.
care what's down there? You know?
Why does it fucking matter?
Yeah. That's my point of view as well. Is it's like, two gay dudes kissing right in front of me does not affect my day, doesn't affect my mood, doesn't change anything in my life. It's something you see straight couples tongue fuck all the time. It doesn't bother me. Sure, it's a little, if you're out in public, maybe get a room or something, but like, it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I think honestly, might be the perfect time to talk about general feelings towards like kind of these groups that work with like, quote, minorities today. So I want to kind of dive this into the LGBTQ plus community as well as, maybe even BLM. Just talk about these groups that have trended in trying to do these things to raise awareness, So if you guys got opinions on both or either of the two, maybe we just move on from here. We got a little off track, but we're just having an open discussion.
I mean, it's definitely a sensitive topic to touch on just because of how widespread it is not only in the U.S. but in the world.
Before we continue, we will just say that we do support these groups. We're not hating against them. We're just giving our opinions on the way they, carry themselves and do about their movement.
I have also I don't think any of us have previously heard each other's opinions either. So again,
this will
open
be
discussion. Yeah.
So no hatred, no bashing, no nothing. This is more just discussion.
I'd also like to add that neither of the three of us are in these communities as well. We are outsiders looking in.
Yeah.
We're all heterosexual males.
So base
have Mexican heritage
and thoughts on that.
Yeah. So
if
come
we
from a Mexican background.
If we say some things that are ignorant or could be ignorant, it is just we would love to have that learning experience. Come educate us. That's that's the whole point of bringing in a guest.
That's the perfect way to say it. Yes, and that's why we want to bring. I would love to have a homosexual guest on here talk about their experiences because it learns more. We had Reggie who we had some fun with you asking some awkward questions, but it was fun because he did tell us a real experience about his sister as well. So like, and we hear things in the news as well. You see things change as far as these communities go. So it's perfect to have an open discussion about, and everything will be open and honest. And that's I guess the trigger warning again, time prints are in the description. If there's a part you don't want to hear for any reason, or you specifically want to hear an opinion on it, click those timestamps and you will get right to that part.
I guess after this warning now, do you want to get started?
Yeah. Well, I mean, me personally, after going through 2020, the year of George Floyd passing, and
a few others as well.
Yeah, and a few others. What was it? Breonna Taylor also, and then Jacob Blake did not pass away. And then with the LGBTQ community, I have two opinions separate for each.
Yeah, each
you want to just start off with one?
Yeah.
We can all talk about one, and then we'll let you lead the next one. So choose which one you're really trying to discuss now, and then we'll go off.
Well, I think I'll start with the BLM one.
Okay.
The BLM one, like you guys heard the last episode, I support it.
You made it quite clear.
Yeah, I've always grown up with African Americans all around me. I mean, I live in how would I describe this area?
It's like considered by city definition a hood. Yeah, as far as crime.
I think it's the most diverse because there's not one white person that lives on this block.
This whole block is a mixture of.
Then is it diverse? Because diverse is everything.
Because
you see a lot of quote minorities.
There you go.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a minority-filled block.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. And I've like really learned like how to respect them and kind of like, I've really grown up with them. And I think the fear of being shot by a police officer shouldn't just be, I guess, how do I say, like the spotlight just be on necessarily African Americans. I think it should be on all colored people because, I mean, I wouldn't say I had like a personal experience, but I had an experience where, you know, I kind of had to like fear for my life because I was pulled over, and, you know, the police officer had her hand on her gun, and her left hand she had the flashlight, and I was trying to get my registration out, and you know, who knows if she would have, you know, shot me or something, but just on the whole BLM topic, I think that year it was the protests and just how it was really like vocally spoken about was well. I think all the marches and stuff like that. But the only thing I'm really against about, and it's not just what BLM did, it's what other people do too.
That I know where you're going. What took advantage of this. Yes.
And started looting.
Yes, the looting.
So,
everyone took advantage of it.
So, I mean, to branch on to that part of the BLM movement, I guess, is, yes, personally, I support BLM. I love the black community. What's it called? Like Hugo said, because we're both brothers. We grew up around a minority-filled neighborhood. I'll also say minority-filled schools as well.
Oh yeah.
We did have a relatively I would say majority of the school was a minority.
Yes.
Like not a specific race, but it was just minorities, and then you know. So we grew up around this background of the many different cultures and all this stuff. But yeah, with the whole taking advantage of BLM thing, I do agree that especially during like the whole George Floyd thing, the protesting itself was the right idea. I just think they executed it poorly. Whereas, yes, we should protest against this I would say cancer in our country of racism. You know, that is not okay.
Of blue lives,
yeah.
if you want to be for real.
Yeah, we need
quote unquote blue lives.
The protesting itself is the right idea, but the way they protested was the wrong way. You know, like looting stores, burning down buildings and cars and people's property. What does that solve?
I think going off this, I want to politely disagree to an extent. I think like I agree with you, the protests were great. I don't believe that the looting is an act of protesting.
Yeah, no, that's just like they would loot. Some people, I wouldn't say obviously everybody did. You know, there was probably people who would break into windows just to show their anger and stuff. But there are people that would loot. There were people that would loot that would almost kind of be like, oh, it was part of the BLM movement, or it was because I was supporting Black Lives Matter.
Exactly. They would say, oh, we need to do this because they won't listen to us. This is the only way they listen to us.
Yeah, but then they're walking out of Target with like 5 iPhones.
So I guess this is what I want to say is like, I think the protests and the looting are completely separate. I think the protesting is the examples you see with the marches. We saw one very local with Beloit where our chief came out, talked to everyone's yelling, fuck 12. It's a very, you know, what's the right word? Like it's very, like hectic. Like everything's going on because you know, yes, because you know they have the badge, they're officers, and you see this chief come out very professionally and say, "We're on your side." This is local. I can't speak for other places. Beloit, Wisconsin, very local to us, obviously, but like. The chief, from the videos we saw, the Facebook Lives, he did his shit with that. He said, "We are on your side as well."
And he got on one knee.
Yes, and this is not something we condone specifically, but worldwide, this is a national fucking issue. And I think the looting makes BLM look bad, and it's not even simply them. You see white people doing it. You see all these people doing it, and wasn't a church lit on fire at one point? Like I can't tell you the exact details, but I'm certain I heard that, and it's like, it's not. So at that point, what do? Do the racist people just blame African Americans and say, "Oh, this is happening"? Like you didn't just see a white guy or a Mexican guy or an Asian guy or Korean guy, etc. run out of the store looting. Everyone used looting as an excuse to steal, and it's not what the people who are passionate about BLM are doing. I know spokespeople who do really well at explaining, like when people say all lives matter, that is such a stupid argument. All lives aren't in danger. When it's black men specifically, and obviously Breonna Taylor, it's not just men, but you do see it more commonly because in this society, quote unquote, black men are seen as a threat by white officers, and I can say it as myself, not saying I agree with this, but in general, like, white people fear black men. Like, it's something that the society has, and I think it comes out of envy. Like, we talked about this a little, but like back in the day it was power. Like, oh, we took you, you're our slave, this and that. Now it's envy. You see all these athletes, all these predominant figures are African American, and it comes from jealousy and like envy and wishing it was you. Whereas back in the day it was power. Now we don't hold the same power, and you see all these people elevating. For me, it's great to see. I wasn't around back then, you know what I mean? That's not something I condone learning about, as we learned about it every fucking year during school. But, you know, it's like, I think it's just, it makes BLM look bad when that shit happens, even if it's not the members and it's not their fault. And I think a lot of people discredit the positives they're actually doing. But like, also when anyone, but like us specifically, but like when people say the term minority, it's not derogatory, but it's bringing awareness to reality. Like, this is how people are viewed, unfortunately. You two are Mexican, you guys are considered a minority. And it sucks that, coming from me as a quote majority, but like, I can see both. Like, I grew up in the same diverse area as you. I'd argue your guys' specific street is more diverse, but our whole city is diverse. You know what I mean? My first, and I'm not going to be one of those guys who like, oh, my sister's cousins, aunts, uncles, dogs, turtles, owner's black, you know, one of the, you know, but like, you know, my very first black friend, or my very first friend was black. So it's like, and I didn't see him as that. I saw him as, you know, shout him out, I guess, you know, I saw him as Elijah. Like, that was just my friend, you know. It was nothing like, I'm not like, oh, you're this, you're that. No, you're my friend, you know. That's just how the world's supposed to see people. I'm not saying I'm this perfect fucking person. I'm this, you know, whatever. But like, I think I can meet someone of any race that I like. I can meet someone of any race that I dislike. I'm not going to judge you off that. I'm going to judge you off your character, what you bring to the table. You know, if your motive is to lay around and do nothing, fuck you, you know. If your motive is to go out and do something, no matter how hard it is or no matter what it takes, I applaud you. And I think now that we're talking about like specific minorities, that also describes people of the LGBTQ plus community. There might be an A at the end of that, so I'm sorry if is it LGBTQ?
But I do believe that when people refer to the community, it's LGBTQ plus.
Okay, so that it's totally not including anyone. It's.
But again, we could be wrong. But
again, educate us in the comments section. But now that we're, you know, they are also a minority group because the majority is heterosexual. So I guess we'll go back to the top. If Hugo, if you have anything else to add about BLM first, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, we can move towards the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, I think we'll move on. I think it's a good point to move on to the LGBTQ plus community. Me personally, as long as you don't force your opinions on me, regardless of whatever, you know, political topic, whatever it is, if you're not forcing it on me, we're good. That's it.
Yeah.
Point period. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. That was straight to the point.
Me again, obviously LGBTQ plus, I am a supporter, as in I do feel as it is, you do what you want, you love who you want to love. That's just how the world should be. You know, it shouldn't be illegal to marry this person because they're a different gender, you know, or a different, you know, they identify as something else. You know, I do think that is that LGBTQ plus is one step closer to equality for everybody.
Yeah.
But also, I do believe, I mean, me and Hugo personally have had conversations about it. I do believe the LGBTQ plus community. I mean,
what did you even just say?
I know. I apologize if I stumble, but I do stutter sometimes. But the community, I'll just refer to it as the community. I don't want to say the gay community, but
I mean,
the community itself is. I do believe that they are almost, how you say, they're almost not taking advantage, but I do want to say that they are, like, I don't know, abusing their power, I guess, similar in a way. Because yes, like, I understand that a gay person might feel almost like secluded from the rest of society because of who they love or who they find attractive or something like that. But yes, they are being secluded, but they're not the only ones. Like, I'm not trying to say that, like, no one gives a shit about you, but at the same time, you're complaining about being left out of certain things or being looked upon different. So are black people. So are Mexicans.
That's gonna go into my point. Yeah, I know you know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, because we talked about it on the one-on-one.
I do want to say this now for people to hear my personal opinion. I don't believe you can support one and not support the other.
Yeah, we have to be equal.
If you're a member of BLM, how, like, for lack of better words, like, how dare you say that your struggle is worse than someone else?
Yeah.
Same with LGBTQ. They're not allowed to love who they love. Black people are fearing for their lives. LGBTQ plus members can't even live their lives how they want because of these restrictions. I think if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, you have to support BLM because you guys are going through, while it's not the same struggle, a struggle. Same with, like, what was it, Arizona or Texas, where they had, like, the Mexican immigrant, like, children and shit in cages at the border. Like, how can you say that that's justifiable because these people are quote-unquote criminals, but I should be able to marry who I want because I pick this quote-unquote, by societal terms, this abnormal lifestyle? Like, it's sad to say. It's
not equality.
Yeah.
So,
Equality is full equality. You can't say, oh, like if you're, for example, if you're a gay man, you can't say, a gay person. If you're a gay person, you can't be like, oh, well, I don't support BLM because all lives matter. Never once does BLM ever specify that all lives do not matter. It is Black Lives Matter because those lives are in danger.
Yeah.
Like, the Save the Children movement isn't saying fuck the adults. It's saying save the vulnerable children. You know what I mean? And it's like, LGBTQ isn't saying fuck straight people. It's saying give gay people the rights that they deserve as well. If a man chooses to love a man, there's also studies about how it's biologically and psychologically installed in you. Like, I guess I don't even have an opinion on this, but do you believe you can be born gay?
Are you asking us that question?
Yeah, because I it's hard for me to have an opinion without any fact or disbelief. Like, I'm not veering towards either way. I just feel like if you're gay, you're gay. Like I knew in kindergarten. Now, I had my first crush on a girl in kindergarten. I knew I was straight.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to judge someone if a kindergarten guy or girl has a crush on the same gender.
You're totally right, and I want to bring up an example. You said, okay, so your question is, do you believe you can be born gay?
Like, do you think that's something psychological or biological, or do you think that's...
No, it's taught. And
is it? Like, were we taught to be...
preached.
But were we taught to be straight?
No, so I think this is... I think I should go first because I have the thoughts already ready.
Yeah, if you got it ready.
I think it's more experience based. So you kind of learn it through living. So it's kind of like I mean, it's a horrible example. If you want to if you have something better, go ahead. But it's kind of like how you're not born and you love pizza. You almost have to, like, try it. It's all through experience.
I guess that's where bisexuality.
Yeah, it all comes from experience. You have to if you're not born a Packers fan. You kind of have to be
you are influenced potentially, but you make your own decision.
You're not born you're not born as a fan of Michael Jordan. Or you're not born.
LeBron's better.
You're not born thinking Mountain Dew is better than Pepsi. You have to experience that. You have to have your own opinion. You have to go through that yourself in order to base that opinion for yourself. You can't. It's something that you kind of develop.
I think if anyone in the LGBTQ plus community is commenting or watching, please comment how you.
Because
knew. If it was just like. Because I look at it as attraction, and then I kind of want to... Sorry to cut you off, but I kind of want to ask Hugo something, specifically Hugo, because he said parents. So you see, I don't want to say a lot, but, like, I've heard things, and you see it, like, in, like, documentaries and stuff about, like, even, like, famous people of the community, but, like, you brought up parents. So how does that explain, and I see it, I'm not saying it's less common or anything, I'm saying personally I see it more common, where gay men are just outcasted, just hated by specifically their father. So how do you explain that if their parents have the views of gay is wrong? It was, this is not me making fun. This is an example I've heard, but I've heard people, specifically religious people, say it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Like, that's a real thing that I've heard throughout my life. So it's like, how would you explain if a parent's disapproval doesn't change the way you are, then how come you're gay?
Well, you just brought up men. So are you trying to say that?
So we can go in general. I was using the example of men, but okay, so if both parents are against their child, regardless of how they identify or what gender they are, if they're against them being gay, how is it that they're still gay? Because it's not something you can really fight, is it?
No. Same thing with political thoughts. You just do whatever you want.
Yeah. So what was the, like, I'm not like bickering at you. So like what's the parenting point? Like, I want to know what you were getting off of. That's all.
I was saying, you're kind of grown, like, you're grown up. You have a mom and a dad. They kiss, they hug, they go on.
So you see heterosexual actions. Okay. So then, what about gay parents? I will not mention names for this because he's very close to me. But like, I have a friend whose fiance's dad is gay. Obviously, he was straight at one time to give birth to her.
There's a difference right there.
Yeah.
I think now it's becoming more common, but
is it a trend, or is it people finally opening up and accepting who they are?
I just think we're in 2023. People don't give a fuck.
So that's what they're accepting who they are.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
But let me bring a question back to you.
Okay.
What do you think about, like, these companies and these, like, manufacturers creating clothes and kids' toys that are quote unquote gay and in the LGBTQ plus community?
So I actually,
and being sold to kids.
So I don't personally see toy examples. I see shows. I see movies. I've seen commercials. So
I guess the better phrasing would be rebranding as something gay.
Yes. So I've seen stuff like that. Like I know Tom Holland was talking about having Spider-Man be gay for a movie. So like examples like that where it's like, and I know it was a big thing when was it The Little Mermaid who had
she went black.
Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Or Hale.
And then the Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess my point is, as I brought up, in kindergarten, I saw a girl I was physically attracted to. In kindergarten, I'm 6-7 years old, correct? So who's to say that a gay person can't find someone of the same gender and say that they're attracted to them? I don't believe in children being taught that they're gay. I see gay stuff like that kind of propaganda that you're talking about. Like, I don't even know if that's the right word, but like I don't even want to say promoted, but I see it shown to me where there's like these commercials, these shows, these rebrands, these advertisements, this and that, even just general awareness. I've never been gay. I can look at a man and say that's an attractive man, but I have no sexual desire. Like if I go to your guys' wedding and you're in a suit, I'm gonna say you look handsome, you look good, you know.
I do.
And there's no meaning sexually behind it. It's you guys look good for the occasion, or like you see a guy with his shirt off, he's got abs. It's like, wow, like you're like really fit, you look good.
Ripped, yeah.
But it's not like, hey, I want to fuck you, you know. And it's like, even like if a gay guy compliments me, oh, you have nice hair, you have nice eyes, I'll be like, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You know, if it's not like, hey, let me see that dick, you know, then it's not going to be so fucking personal.
That's what I was saying, is that, like, what you just said.
Because I think that's damn near predatory.
That's forcing it on you.
Yeah. But, like, as far as, I don't believe you can, I just don't think that can be promoted to children, because children... If I knew I was straight at 7, how can I tell a sounds weird to say, but like a gay child that they're not gay at that age?
You know
if
what
I knew
it is,
I was
though,
straight
is
at
that
7.
it's parents that how do I say it, that are kind of, they want their kids to, I want to say grow up, but like to follow what they did, because if, how do I say this? Like an example, if you have a 5-year-old kid and the mom is now lesbian, she wouldn't really care that the kid is bringing those thoughts into the household, as in, or for example, like, to defer, a kid that has a mom and a dad to bring those like toys or whatever, rebranding whatever, into the household, they might be pissed about it, or they might have mixed feelings about it.
And to an extent, I can understand a mixed feeling. Like, personally, when I have a child, I will raise them as how they're born until it's out of my control. If I have a male, he will have, and there's some unisex toys that can go both ways or whatever. Like, girls can like WWE and get like a wrestling action figure and not be lesbian, Like, a guy could play with a Barbie and a Ken, and it's a male and a woman, so it's heterosexual, You're just playing with both genders, and it can be fine. I think the only issue I have is force. If I have a 5-year-old son, I'm not going to voluntarily put him in a dress. I'm not going to voluntarily buy him a princess playset. If that's the stuff he ends up being interested in, it's going to be an early sign that he's experimenting or he has these feelings. I'm not going to shun my kid and be like, oh, you're the fucking F-bomb, I'm not going to demote my kid for feeling the way they feel. And it's like, would I change my parenting process? Would there be things I have to learn? Absolutely. Because I don't think there is a way to prep for that. Same with like if my child is like 20 years old and says, I feel trapped inside my body, I'm not the right sex, and we're talking transgender now, is that going to be easy for me to hear? Fuck no, because I raised them the way they were. Am I going to accept them? Yes. Am I going to love it? Maybe not at first, but you have to accept it. I'm not losing my child over a belief that is ignorant. So I feel like, yeah, the force is wrong. And I think I hate to make it such a gender thing, but I think with guys, it's a little more susceptible because you hear like, oh, put your male kid in a dress. Girls can be tomboys and be straight, but as soon as a guy does anything feminine, they're just labeled gay.
You want to move up, then you want to branch off of that? Because I have something to say. I think men have a higher expectation in life.
I agree that men's mental health is not as
taken seriously,
as valued. Yeah, I believe that men are seen as the providers, like we're still living in the 70s. So if you want to branch off, like almost like not even like a gender role thing, but like even like gender rights, like we can just kind of branch off into the next kind of topic. But I do feel like men are neglected, and they are more, even if they're not more of providers, they're more looked at as providers. That's not to say that women ain't bossing up doing their shit too.
Well, yeah.
But from a general societal standpoint, it does seem like men are more counted on, and like they have to be this strong. Like, I'm not physically strong, but I feel as though I have to be mentally strong to get past some fucking days, to get past certain feelings, to respond a certain way to something.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't back down or I'm a quote pussy.
I was just gonna say that. I think men's feelings are just definitely like just not accounted for, and
it's not all cases. The one thing is we're not going to single out women who really do care. This is more of a societal based standpoint as well as personal experiences, as mentioned in the beginning.
But I mean, I don't know. I just think that.
I think men's. This is going to sound weird. I think that certain women, not all, certain women make men's mental health a trend. You see like Facebook and Instagram posts,
like a joke?
Like not even a joke, but like, let's support men's mental awareness, mental health, all this. Men don't have to be physically strong to be mentally strong, all this and that. Pray for men, and then don't do shit about it. Like, we talked about past groups who are making movements, and that's awesome. But like, look at suicide rates. Men are 3 times as likely to kill themselves than women, but yet we're tending to every feminine need. It's going to get real quiet in here in a second, but it's real, and if you disagree, give me an educated response. Don't tell me I'm a piece of shit for saying this, because this is my truth. And this is where cancel controversy comes in. We can have different opinions and agree or disagree, but you're going to be respectful, or you're just not going to get a response out of us.
And personally, I think as a man, you can see it in other men.
Yeah. And that's why brotherhoods are so much stronger than saying, that's my friend. No, that's your bro, because you got to be there for so much more. you hear the shit that he's too afraid to say to a woman in terms of being weak. And like my fiance is very supportive. Like this is not a shot at women by any means. It's a shot at the women who do this. Because yeah, you should be accounted for as you account these men for not being as strong as you would like them to be physically and mentally. Or financially. Let's talk about that too if we want to really bring it up. Men have to be the providers in so many other ways than one, and if they're not, they're bums. Like, I mean, you got you sitting here kind of quiet. I know that this is touchy for us as three men in the room talking to other men, because you even feel vulnerable amongst other men who feel this ideology. Like, women tell them they have to be some type of way, and I really, branching off a topic we discussed earlier, I think that's somewhat where homophobia comes from. You're less of a man if you like men by societal terms. Why don't you have a woman? Like, society will tell you, oh, this is fucked up. It's two men together.
Yeah, if
you
don't
can't
have a
reproduce. That's
gay.
this and that.
That's what I've.
And it's like, not everyone's goal is to reproduce. Everyone's goal is to find love. If two men can't have babies, first off, there's surrogates, there's adoption. Kids can go to a wonderful family that just so happens to be gay. It ain't like a gay person's goal is to say everyone has to be gay. No, it's to find a lover.
And I heard that a lot in high school. I think it's a, like you said, it's a trend.
That was everyone's favorite thing to say is, even if it was something stupid, it's just, oh, you're fucking gay. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're a homo, you know. It's all like, what? Because I won't go talk to this girl I'm not interested in. Yeah. I'm gay. I won't shoot my shot because I have this fear of looking weak. I'm gay. Like, you know, it's stupid. And it shatters men to know that one mistake will be held over their head. We can even talk about body shaming. You call a woman fat, you're a piece of shit. She calls your dick little, she's funny as fuck. Like, I'm sorry, there's so many things like...
That's so
not to mention, I mean, I haven't really experienced it much with me personally, but I know a few friends that have, with like height shaming and shit. Yep. Like, oh, you have to be at least 6 foot to have a chance.
You ain't getting to me. Like, bitch, you're 5'3".
Yeah, like
why do I have to be 6 foot? I'm 5 inches taller than you. If I'm 5'8", you know.
Yeah, like, and realistically, height shouldn't matter.
No,
that's a good thing to bring up because I'm 4'7".
I don't remember if. Oh, we only mentioned that in the personal we canceled.
Yeah.
So do you almost wanna? I know you've already done it once on a previous unreleased episode. But if you want to go into
it'll be covered.
It'll be good.
One-on-one.
I think it'll be perfect. Just a brief for this topic because obviously, not gonna lie, you've probably experienced it more than me and Phyno.
Well, I think it's stupid. Like young Phyno said, it's stupid because, like me, I have achondroplasia dwarfism. I can't control my height. You know, 4'7" is probably that's all I'm gonna get. And you know, even in high school and middle school, I was like 4 foot. That was it. And you know, my classmates are 6 foot, 5'11", 5'10", 5'9".
And then you see these guys getting called short for being under 6 foot. Imagine how someone in your shoes would feel.
Well, yeah, I think that's why I would never get the opportunities that other people would get because of my height.
And it's almost like sorry if this is like super personal to you, but it's almost like people would expect someone who has dwarfism to find another person with dwarfism when that's not always the case.
Yeah, and it's very common to hear about that in the little people community because I hear this all the time when they speak about it in the little people convention that happens every year that, oh, as far as dating, what do you guys look for, blah, blah, blah. You hear about it. They say, oh, I look for an average height person. You know, I can never date another little person. You know, it's too many, like, how do I say it? Like, you have too much stuff alike.
Is that societal pressure, or is that a personal?
It's societal pressure, and it's like, how do I say it? Like it's like a standard that other people have said that, oh, you have to date of your own kind.
And that's what I was just getting at.
And it's so stupid to hear about that. And it's like you're almost... It's not even like somebody has to say it. You're forced because, you know... fuck it, I'm going to say it. There's girls that come out and say, oh, I want to date a midget. Why?
It comes from a sick fetish thing too. That's another thing you gotta be weary of.
And I don't know, it's ridiculous to hear these things because, you know, you would expect them not to be taught in the household, but then yet again, you're also not taught the educated way, you know, to be respectful around these people and to accept them of who they are.
Any disabled person at
Exactly.
that, yeah. Just treating people how you want to be treated.
I think I like you said, I've gotten the other end of it, that, you know, these women say this, and it doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
And I guess I want to add a little bit to that. As obviously Hugo's brother, I feel like I have my own unique point of view as well, on top of outside of people like you who kind of know him as like a friend or something.
I'm more outside looking in
Yeah,
than you.
I feel like as almost as his brother, I have a completely different opinion as other people. I mean, even as recently as the other day we went to like Walmart. You know, I'll be walking through the aisles with Hugo, and I'll witness myself, either a little kid or someone grown up, kind of like look at Hugo with like a weird look or say something like completely disrespectful, and it bothers me. You know, let alone Hugo. You know, obviously it'll bother him because he's the one that actually has to deal with it. I'm his brother. I care for him. I do things for him that he can't do.
I mean, you took time off work to take care post surgery.
Yeah, like that. Like, in my opinion, you shouldn't judge based off of disability or anything like that.
And that's not to say that women have to be sexually attracted.
Yeah, we're not telling you.
We're not saying, oh, you have to give them a shot because of this and that. Yeah, no, we're saying if you're not, let's say there's no romantic interest. Why is it that we went to Converse and a kid's fucking filming us?
Yeah,
it's for those who don't know. But.
For me, it's a thing where it's almost like I feel like I shouldn't be feeling offended by the way he gets treated, but I do because I take it personally because he's my brother.
And he's your brother. He's a fucking human being.
Yeah, it's not just the fact that he's relative in blood. It's more like even if you yourself had some sort of disability, you know. Like, for example, you are missing a limb from action in the military. If someone were
I could be born without a limb.
You know, if you were to be made fun of or get picked on or just be looked at strangely or random comments being made in public, I would also feel offended because not just I care about you because you're a friend, but because you're a human being.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where you learn different things and you view life differently because you have these people in your life. And I know me and Dylan have had this conversation privately where, you know, he has told me, he's like I can't really remember what you told me, but like you see and you're like you value different things more because you see how difficult it is on my end.
Oh yeah, because I'll look at things and be more grateful for things that others don't have the same opportunity to feel or have. Like, and I'm not going to, it's going to sound weird when I say this, but when I explain it, it'll make sense. I'm not going to treat you different because you're disabled or like in anyone's case, you know what I mean? Like, as far as like, obviously I know there's restrictions, like with you coming off the back surgery, I know there's things you can and cannot do, but that's not to be like, oh, I'm going to like distance myself because you can't do what I want to do. No, we're going to make the effort to make anything work. We're going to do shit you want to do. And obviously we have alone time, like where I'm, you know, with my fiance or even just by myself, or you're with Enrique or you're just by yourself. And it's like I have time to do the things I want as well, because we're not going to hang out 7 days a week. Like, we know that I work, you know, like everyone has things going on. It's like, yeah, we're not going to see each other every fucking day. We can communicate every day through a phone. But even like at that point, like how healthy is it to like be glued to our phones? We need time to. The more distance you give, the more you miss a person. Mm-hmm. You can't miss someone you're around 25/8, and that's something I kind of tell Tasia sometime. And it ain't to be rude. It's just, you know, like I can't miss you if I'm always with you. You know, like there's times where everyone needs their own space, but like at the same time, the main point I was making is like I'll know your limitations, but I ain't gonna treat you like when I introduce Hugo. I don't say, "Hey, this is my friend with dwarfism." I don't tell people prior to them meeting them. I want their genuine reaction. If they're like, oh wow, he's really short, it's like, oh okay, who gives a fuck? Or like if he introduced me to like, I even know it's a thing with like, I'm gonna use Tasia's friend, no name, but like she's Mexican, her friend, and she told Tasia, or Tasia told her that she was dating someone, and her friend says, oh, it better not be that white dude. Why does that matter? Like, it's little shit like that. Like, why the fuck does that matter?
Yeah, and to combat the argument of some people may say, well, disability is completely different from race. I would agree, and yes, someone who is disabled is completely has nothing to do with their skin color. That's two different things. But the way you treat someone based off their disability or skin color should be the same and or not existed.
It should just be you treat people
how you treat
anyone else, or how you want to be treated.
Yeah, I shouldn't treat you. If you preach, I should treat this person, a black person and a white person, the same. You should also be preaching, I should teach an average sized person and a dwarf.
And even with race, it comes to different things. And like with like we use like police brutality and like BLM as an example. If I get pulled over with a black friend who I know is like nervous of that thing, the first thing I'm going to do is like just relax, you know, just do this, do that. Like there are those kind of, or like if I had like a foreign friend who was undocumented, who's like nervous about that kind of thing. First off, I don't agree with that whole ICE shit. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, you're illegal, you can't be here. None of that. Because you got here, you're living here, you're surviving here. You have every right I do.
You're another person.
Yeah, you have every right I do. Even if the government don't see it that way or the law don't see it that way, I will treat you that way at worst. I know I'm not above any of that, but I will treat you like a human fucking being. And it comes down to like, yeah, I know there's going to be limitations like, I can't even think, but like, even like when you join a sports team and like a travel team and you have to give your social and shit, some undocumented people do not have socials, or you know, they get like the fake social numbers, and it's like, I'm not gonna look at you different or like anything. You're doing what you can to survive where you're at, especially when you're our age. Like even like a few years ago, we were kids.
Yep.
Like as far as like under 18, not like children, but you know, like we were underage. So like I have a friend, and for obvious reasons I will not name that, who is undocumented, and it was tough to hear him talk about it. I haven't talked to him in some time, but it was just distance or whatever, nothing personal. But yeah, it sucks to hear everyone's experience, and it goes back to what Hugo says about why I'm so much more grateful for what I have, but I'm not going to rub it in your face and be like, you know, white power, you know, like shit like that. Like that's weird to me. Humans are humans.
And I mean, I guess you think now would be a good time to branch off, because I do have something I would like to say.
Well, can I
I was going to say, let Hugo finish, and I think we should hit one more big topic and then leave it for our second episode, just because we have so much to talk about.
So take it away.
So I think all I have to say is, if you judge somebody, you open the door for somebody and you see them and you just judge them on appearance, it's a very common quote. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep.
No, let's add the sauce of 2023 to it. If you judge a book by its cover, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
If you judge a book by its cover, give me that dumbass library card.
If you judge the book by its cover, why don't you actually read it a little bit?
And you'll find
you don't
out
understand
what
a
it's
book without reading it. You know, like you don't understand a person without knowing them. Like people who start drama over nothing, like, oh, like we were talking about earlier, oh, this girl has this because she's doing all this. Are you saying that because you find her attractive and that you're fearful of her attractiveness, so you have to make up this rumor to value her less so she looks at you as higher? Or men, it's like, oh, this guy does this and that. You see people will lose weight and they'll be like, oh, they're on drugs. People will gain weight, oh, they're using steroids. Like, why don't you get to fucking know a person? Because that's really offensive to the people who put in the work to lose weight, to change how they are. You look at people with mental illness. Oh, they were so down. Now they're doing so much better. Because it's self-love and they're fucking helping themselves. And I can see all three of us are, like, getting a little frustrated with this topic. Because it's, like, common fucking sense that people don't fucking get.
For me, I don't know much about how much, quote-unquote, abuse or any problems you've had with your race or religion or anything like that. We talked about Hugo's problems with his condition.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, as just, I don't want to say normal, but just an average
your
Mexican,
everyday person.
your everyday person, I myself have experienced, I guess, prejudice, I would say, in terms of, I mean, we joke about it all the time how I'm like a walking contradiction where I look white, but I am Mexican and I have like dreads, which for some ignorant reason people associate with black people.
Yeah.
I don't think you should associate with a hairstyle with a certain skin color.
Except when that hairstyle has that purpose.
Yeah. But for
Like a design in it, or like, because there are like dread designs that mean things.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, there's obviously like tribal reasons and stuff like that for certain things, but for like dreadlocks specifically, as a whole, I've been told, why do you have dreads? That's like a black people thing. You know, I take offense to that, even though me myself, I'm not black.
Quote unquote culture appropriation.
Yeah, I don't see that as okay, because I don't think you should be berated for your hairstyle just because it's quote unquote a different culture's haircut.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't judge.
Especially when you're not doing it you're not trying to be something you're not.
Yeah, I personally, I have dreadlocks because I love the style. I love the way they look.
It's an appreciation.
I love everything about dreadlocks to begin with. So why berate me, make fun of me, say these mean things about my hairstyle? I don't go around talking about, oh, you shouldn't have a fade because you're white, or you know, stuff like that. It's dumb to berate someone's hairstyle because of their skin color.
And you really can't look at someone and tell what they are off the
And
top.
I mean, we make jokes like that where, like, I mean, me myself, I am Mexican, but I am a very lightly colored Mexican.
Yes.
I'm not as dark as other Mexicans or people of Latino or Hispanic backgrounds. I'm not as, my skin tone is not, you know, it's not as dark as others.
And I think
so. I face a little bit of prejudice where, like, you look white, you sound Mexican, or you are Mexican. You know, make your mind up, which one are you? You know, I do
see
face
that with mixed people too.
Yeah, I do have that prejudice against me of people kind of just judging me off of my appearance. But then, you know, I've been giving dirty looks again from like the hairstyle or just the way I am, you know, and I do feel that prejudice, and obviously it does affect me and the way I go about things. That's why I am insecure about certain things. I don't want to.
And that's bullshit.
Yeah, like that's how
like
that shouldn't be a thing. You know, you shouldn't feel insecure about something that you can't change.
Yeah.
Or I mean, when it comes to the hairstyle, something that is just completely irrelevant. You know, I shouldn't feel insecure because my shoes aren't as expensive as other people's.
Yeah.
Or because my haircut doesn't match this standard of a skin color or a specific culture.
And I think with like specifically like I don't know the right term for like lack of better words, but like I'm just gonna say like foreign countries like you'll see people like who might look Mexican and they're something completely different, and it's automatically, oh, you're Mexican.
Oh, you speak Spanish, you're Mexican.
Yeah, like no, Spain has different Spanish on top of it. These Dominican Republic, don't they speak a different version of Spanish?
I'm pretty sure Cuban people, El Salvadorians, or people from you know.
And then,
they have their
but
own
you can look
varieties.
at someone who's like Guatemalan and be like, oh, like this person's Mexican. No, they're not.
But it's not just, again, to be fair, it's not just Hispanics. It's also with Asians. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, he has his eyes are a different way. He's clearly Asian.
Yeah.
But he could be, you know, he's got to be from China. No, he could be from Korea. He could be from the Philippines. He could be Japan.
Yeah.
Vietnam, I believe, is also another country. You know, it's generalizing one race or appearance with a certain country, which is, again, wrong.
I'm not gonna lie, these timestamps are gonna be tough because we're kind of just nailing it all in. And I mean, I love how open this is. Like, we have our general topics written down, and it's like we're able to branch off into all these other quote unquote controversial ideas. And I guess that's kind of the point, is like cancel controversy is you can have an opinion and not be wrong either way, but you gotta be willing to hear out each and every person.
Yeah, my thing is as we say, like the whole cancel thing, how can you be a person that preaches your opinion but then tries to cancel or ruin someone's life for having a separate opinion?
Yeah, and like there are absurd, like you can't be a white person going around saying the hard R.
Yeah.
Or I guess really
Or any
anyone
other
but
person.
black. And I'll honestly say that I don't. Obviously, it ain't my place to choose, but I don't think African Americans should say the hard R either, because it's derogatory to them. Like, why do that? You know, I think that's a word that should not be said. But specifically, if you're not African American, you most definitely should not be saying it. Even like an A. Like, that's one thing about school that bothered me is like it was almost like a pick and choose thing. Yeah. Like the certain white kids could say the N-word with an A, and the other ones do it and they're racist.
This popular Asian kid could say it because he's friends with the black people.
Yeah, like you gotta make your mind up.
But my thing is with, I mean, I have touched on a few people that I personally know. I do personally say the N-word, but obviously not the hard R. Yeah. I say the N-word because again, as we touched on it earlier, we grew up around this minority-filled school and neighborhood and stuff. I grew up around this black community, and even when we were younger, we had black neighbors who we used to spend an immense time with. And obviously, a lot of my friends were black. And not to be that guy again, like you said, that my cousin's ex-boyfriend, was black.
Their dog's turtle sister was black.
I don't want to say I was nurtured by the black community, but I was almost my lifestyle was almost sculptured around and included the black community. And I was amongst those people. Well, I don't want to say those people, but the black community and stuff like that. So I do say it as well as. But I don't abuse the fact that I do say it. I don't say the N-word every 5 seconds in every sentence. And I don't use it in a racial way. I don't call a black person the N-word. I almost use it as like a greeting, like a oh bro, type of thing. It's not like a racial thing. When I say it, I have no racial intent behind it.
So I have a question. I'm gonna use a real life example of an artist that I like quite a bit, but Nav. So. Mainstream artist who got in trouble following the Beebs in the Trap song, because he was Indian who grew up around, he was in Rexdale, so he grew up around a black community, and not even just black, just very diverse. Canada, like those, I feel like the rougher areas of Canada are super diverse. But like, so how would you go about like him not using that no more?
I don't
because he got hate for it.
Yeah, he got hate, but
I don't know if it's warranted or unwarranted. Or
I personally think it's. I mean, obviously, it's not my place to speak, but from my perspective, I do think it is a bit unwarranted because of the fact that you can't. The way you said it, you kind of pick and choose who can and can't say it. There are some percentage of the black community that are okay with Mexicans saying it, but are not okay with Asians or in people of like that culture, Indians or people from Iran or stuff like that. It is a little ignorant to pick and choose who can and can't say it. That's why, first of all, no one should say it. Personally, like you said, like the hard R, no one.
The hard R, no one.
Yeah. But then it is a little dumb to have almost like you have to meet these certain requirements to be able to say it. I do think that it is really dumb.
I just think with an A, it has a double meaning.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it used to put people under. Like it's you're my this because like
Like you'll never catch me blurting it out in retaliation. I'll never say it to your face. Oh. Like in a mean, aggressive way. Again, like I said, I don't have no racial intent behind it. When I say it, it's as if I'm saying, "What's up, my bro?" or "What's up, my guy?"
And see that's how, like, you see black people use it, is to say like, "What's up, my fill in the blank."
The black community also does use it that way. But then also there are certain situations where they do say it in a with a racial intent or But again, like I said, me personally, I would never do that because, again, I do believe it is wrong. But yeah, you want to branch off or do you want to just call it?
I feel like we've touched on a lot of things. If there's anything else we would like to branch off of, we can, but I feel like we can have way more episodes where we talk about other specific topics, like even like sport controversy, religious controversy, political controversy,
in world history controversy,
or
like events and stuff.
We covered probably 4 or 5 things on our list. We talked about things that weren't even on our list as we went off. I'd argue that we talked a quick degree about immigration as well, so I'll check that off as well. But we have so many things to talk about. So obviously we'll leave Hugo to do the full kind of closing segment of this, but on my part, I do want to say again, kind of just touch up what we did on the beginning, is it's all opinion based. We would love if you guys do disagree, we can agree to disagree. We would love to see comments or even educate us on things that we might have said that are factually incorrect. Please let us know, if we got certain we talked about like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. If we got certain dates wrong, please correct us, or years wrong, please let us know. Let us know anything that for sure is factually wrong, because then we can further educate ourselves. And we'd love to hear opinions, because we know, like, for example, Young Phyno's channel, his music channel, again, all of our shit is linked in the description, but he saw that his viewers on his analytics are 29% US. So assuming that at least a few of them people tune in, as we also advertise this through our channels, but it gives us an opportunity to get almost like global opinions, and that's awesome. We know everyone who's listening. We might have a white male. We might have two white males on here, right? One might be Christian, one might be atheist. We might have two black people on here. One who's more like pro BLM, and then someone who might have some issues within his own community or within their own community, like doing this stuff. We might have LGBTQ plus members who, just et cetera, et cetera. Like, you're gonna have people of every background, everything that have different opinions. So please let us know. It's supposed to be helpful to hear. We're just kind of like three random guys or whatever, but we have opinions, and that's the thing, is we're gonna speak on them. And as far as, again, we're gonna kind of knock this down and like just keep saying this to you guys over and over again, but cancel controversy. If you can have open conversations like we're willing to, as well as we do respect it or expect it back, I think that's the most mature way to go about it, is to agree to disagree. Don't say something outlandish like if you comment on this video, all lives matter, you're not getting a response from us. If you comment, fuck gay people, you're not getting a response out of us. If you say this race, that race, if you're saying, you guys know what the fuck is too much and what's just so blatantly unnecessary. We're open to any educational or just like debate topics that are appropriate, and that's where I'll end.
Because I guess my final closing thoughts is, again, like you said, please educate us. I mean, if you find a comment or a section specifically that was ignorant by your standards or in general, please educate us. We are open to and would love to be educated on these topics, because, again, this stuff, like we said, with like the LGBTQ plus community, this also comes from experience. We have to.
It's all personal opinion.
We can't just have an opinion on something we don't know anything about.
Yeah, like we have a few things on this list that, maybe one of the three of us know about, maybe none of us know about, and we'll kind of just maybe skip over, and that's your guys' chance to involve yourselves.
That's why, that's why we also mentioned that we'd love to have other guests who are in these communities or have these issues going on as well.
Or have been part of the, like, whatever topic we're talking about.
So
people who just educate themselves on these topics. Like I said, like when we talked about BLM, none of the three of us are African American, but we see this outsider looking in perspective. And that's another thing, is I realized throughout this, and it's in no offense whatsoever, I haven't really peeped if you guys have done it, but I've noticed it with myself. I've said black people and African American. I don't know if there's a more proper one to choose from or whatever.
I mean, growing up,
it's not meant derogatory regardless.
Yeah,
it's not meant derogatory regardless. And some people might have different opinions. It's not to offend. It's, we're talking very openly, and we are in no way whatsoever discriminating or anything like that.
Yeah.
But before we even move on to Hugo's final thoughts, I want to bring up two topics I have on this list that I assume the three of us don't know much about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I put down veganism and climate change. Two things that we would love further education on so we can learn. Obviously, research is one thing, but I love hearing people's opinions. Or, like, I know it's a little hard for experience with climate change, but, like, veganism, like, that's something
we'd love to have someone that actually is vegan to teach us, because there is, like,
or who has tried it. Some people try it and it doesn't work out. Other people say it changes their fucking lives.
Because there are stereotypes of our vegans, like, oh, they just fucking eat grass.
Yeah, and I've heard pros and cons to it. Like, I've heard people say, oh, well, you're killing plants with this fertilization anyway.
Yeah.
And then, they say you're killing livestock and, like, animals and eating their meat. So I don't know. Eating their meat. God damn it.
Pause.
God damn it.
Big pause.
But you know what I mean. Like, it's like
just eating them.
I don't know where to further base my opinion. Like, personally, my favorite food's steak. You can hate me in the comments, but personally,
and steak is cow, right?
Yeah. Like, steak is my favorite food. It just is. But I'm not against learning about everything as well, because I also know that red meat has its own issues in itself.
Oh, yeah.
So, I get it. I really, I have a basic understanding.
One thing I want to say as well is, with obviously you said that if someone were to just start hating and say like, oh, like fuck gay people, you know, like they're not gonna get any attention.
Like that's unwarranted.
Yeah, that's yeah, we don't accept that here or in general. But one thing I will say as well is, what's it called? You don't. There's no benefit from saying stuff like that.
No,
Though,
it
you
just
know,
makes yourself look ignorant.
yeah,
and
like
fucking
what's
stupid.
the point of saying something like that? You know, there's no benefit or you don't gain anything from it.
No, I might get a few likes from people who
Or also
agree with you
ignorant and stuff.
Yeah, it just makes them look bad too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just end it off here. This was a really good experience to kind of touch on a lot of things that, you know, sadly they are touched in, you know, the public media, but then after a week or two they're gone, and, you know, haven't heard about it in years. Maybe you would hear about them in a documentary years later, but no, we like to touch on these topics just so people can understand them a little bit more, just so we can all kind of get educated also about them, and, you know, learn different things about different topics. But yeah, I mean, this was a really good idea, great, you know.
I love this episode. I really do.
And we have tons and tons of more topics that we are going to touch on that we've actually had verbal fights about in the car.
Yeah, we're gonna hit some that we're gonna disagree on.
Yeah.
Altogether.
Oh yeah, I'm
those are
gonna
gonna
start
be fun episodes, and we gotta be appropriate towards each other.
Yeah,
as
no
well
no
as our
throwing
audience.
punches and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hugo can't punch me again.
We'll probably
We'll
probably tape each other's hands together.
Like I'm still recovering from when Hugo snapped my arm about something in the car.
No, but no, this is a really good idea, and I hope this is a really good experience on this amazing series that we're about to.
If we get the views and the appropriate audience that's joining in, we would love to continue this, and we're not going to be like, oh, like goal, view goal, just
it's not about we're not trying to like get views to boost us. It's more about trying to raise awareness. We're trying to get the word out there.
And if this doesn't work, you know, maybe we'll keep going, or maybe we'll just scrap it and keep kind of. But introducing you guys to like how the Chatterbox is, introducing you to our local personal people, so we can at least get them out there. At the end of the day, you know, Hugo does a lot. His whole channel is getting word out there one way or another. So it's like, I feel like that's a fact. At the end, you have to appreciate.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all just positive impact on our community.
Yeah,
just getting the word out. But
and it's okay to debate.
Yeah.
It's okay to.
It's okay to disagree with somebody.
Yes, but to be blatantly inappropriate, disrespectful, or, you know, racist, homophobic, any of that type of shit is unacceptable. Yeah. It just is.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up right now. This has been an episode of the controversial
cancel controversy.
The cancel controversy.
We're new to this.
Yeah. I just want to shout out the episode I did, the 608 Chatterbox, the episode I did with the elders on Mormonism. I know it's not getting too many views right now, but it's a very, very educated episode.
It's a unique episode, and it can help the right audience if checked out. We'll link it in the description.
Even meeting Dylan, it's a new experience for us. So
shout out Jimbo.
Shout out Jimbo.
Shout out Jimbo.
And Bosch.
Shout out Bosch.
And Hawker. Man, shout them all out.
We're gonna send the episode to them. But yeah, it's a very good episode, and we took the time to visit them at their own church and actually interview them.
And they were very cool to let us use one of their like classrooms for the podcast. Yeah, it was in all seriousness. Shout out Jimbo.
Very good, very good experience. But yeah, this has been an episode of the canceled controversy. So I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you.